So we want to now learn how do we do cross-tabulation data. For this, we use the tab command with two variables. So we do tab variable 1 and then we write variable 2. Now when tab is used with two variables, it produces a two-way table of frequency distribution. Like in this particular case, if you use tab with the two variables, S18207, which represents marital status, and S18204, which represents gender of person, we get a two-way table of frequencies as we can see over here. Now, when we use tab with variables, the variable that we write first, in this case, the marital status, its categories come in the rows, as we can see over here. And the variable we write second, its categories come in the columns. Like in this case, we can see the row gender second, so its categories came in the columns. So now, by default, when we use tab with two variables, so it creates a table of frequency, right? So by default, we get frequencies. But if we want to see percentages, we have options that can specify three types of percentages. So let's look at the first option. The first option will be, so the first option that we want to look at is cell. Now, when we use the cell option, what it does is it shows us each percentage as a percentage of the overall total. Now, what this means is if we now apply the cell option, CTRL plus T. So over here, we can see, now we can see that he shows the first number represents the frequency like it did before by default. The second number represents the cell percentage. What this means is that each of these percentages that we can see over here, this 31.16, this 27.43, and so on. So each of these percentages represent a percentage of the overall total. So what this means is that 31.16% will be represented as 31.16% of all individuals in the data set are unmarried males. 27.43 would represent the 27.43% of all individuals in the data set are unmarried females. 17.63 would mean that 17.62% of all individuals in the data set are currently married males. So when we use the cell option, each percentage that we see in the table is going to be a percentage of the overall total. But there's another sort of percentage that we can show with the tab option, and that for this we specify the row option. Now, what the row option does is, as the name suggests, it shows us percentages within each row. So now each percentage is going to be interpreted within each row. So now the interpretation of this 53.19 is going to be different from how we interpreted the cell percentage. Here we're going to look at each row. So what it's saying is, how will you interpret this 53.19 is that out of those unmarried, 53.19% are males and 46.81% are females. And you can see the 53.19 plus 46.81 sum up to 100%. So showing us percentage within this particular row. Similarly, we can look at percentages within the second row. What these numbers 46.73 and 53.27 are telling us is among those currently married, 46.73% are males and 53.27% are females. Similarly, we can see for separated. Among those separated, 28.57% are males and 71.43% are females. Now, if you can see row percentages, we can also see column percentages. For this, we have the column option. For this, we have the column option. So what this does is this shows us percentages within each column. So if we do this, so now what this is going to do is, this is showing us percentages within a column now. So over here, so if we look at the main column, so this is telling us among males, 62.65% are unmarried, 35.45% are currently married, 1.6% are widow, 0.20% are divorced, 0.02% are separated, and so on. And we can see all of these numbers, 62.65 plus 35.45 plus 1.60 plus 0.20 plus 0.02 plus 0.0 will sum up to 100%. Similarly, we can look at the percentages within the female column. This is telling us among females, 54.57% are unmarried, 39.99% are currently married, 4.99% are widowed, and so on. So you can use the cell option to show each percentage is a percentage of the overall total. The row option will give us each percentage within rows, and column option will give us percentages within columns as an interest. By default, it will always show us frequencies. If we don't want to see frequencies and say we're only interested in the percentages, so we can always use the no frequency option. And when we use that, we can see that now it will only show us the column percentages in this case. So it's the same results as this, but now it's not just showing us the frequency which is showing by default. So frequencies it always shows by default. So if you want to remove that, we can use the no frequency option.